The internet and social media this week have been filled with many opinions, disagreements, pain, anger, and even hate-filled posts between human beings stemming from the treatment of our Black siblings in the United States. It has been overwhelming to listen to, watch, and try to learn as much as I can, but so necessary. As this week went on, the temptation to just turn it off kept knocking on the door to my mind. But I won't. I won't, because I know that Black people in this country can't just turn it off. I've come to the realization that my experiences as a grieving white person pale in comparison to those of my siblings of color. For every moment that I find myself tired, they are exhausted. For every moment that I am angry, they are so rightly enraged. For every moment that I'm in pain, they are heartbroken. For every moment that I am sad, they are devastated. For every moment that I have been fearful to speak out, they are terrified to simply exist. I can't pretend to comprehend the experiences of any of them, that any of them have faced day in and day out simply because of their skin color. But I can try to do better. We can all try to do better. We can amplify Black voices with the arsenal of tools that we did nothing more than look into. We can acknowledge the privileges that we bring to the table. We can learn to keep quiet when needed, to speak when we're called upon, and to stand beside our siblings of color in solidarity or in front of them to shield them. We can acknowledge that we're a part of the problem, not because we want to be, but because we've been systematically conditioned to be. And we can refuse to sit back and do nothing anymore. But how do we do better? And why should we as Christians make bold efforts to do so? Well, first, we have to recognize our own privilege. Now, being privileged doesn't mean you have no struggles or that bad things just don't happen to you. What it means is that you are automatically granted something, not because you did anything to work for it or to earn it. For example, I was born white. Even though I still face bias and prejudice because of my sex and my gender, I know that I will never be told my natural hair is a distraction in my classroom or in my workplace. I know that my skin color will never be the sole reason that I'm stopped when leaving a store while carrying a large purse. I know that if I get pulled over at night, I will probably never ever have a gun pointed at me simply because of the color of my skin. These are just some of the privileges that I own, not because I did anything to earn them, but simply because I was born white. Second thing we can do is remember that we are all God's beloved creations. Hate and God's love cannot coexist. They cannot be in someone's heart at the same time. Our faith teaches us that we are all created in the image of God. How we treat each other is a direct reflection of how we view and understand God. Every single life has significance in God's eyes, and therefore should also have significance in ours. We have to recognize that when one reflection of God's image is covered up or valued less, then we miss out on the completeness of God's image. It's our job as Christians to seek justice, to correct oppression, to learn to do good. I've been seeing a really good analogy between the parable of the lost sheep and the Black Lives Matter movement. It gets at this idea. Jesus didn't leave the 99 sheep to find the one because he didn't care about the 99. Jesus left the 99 because they were already safe and the one was in danger. I think the same concept applies here. It's true that all lives do matter, but right now, Black lives are in danger. The third thing we need to do is recognize that racism and prejudice are different sins, but both are still sinful. See, racism involves an in-depth structure and system of unequal treatment based on race that's rooted in the deep belief that one race is superior to another. We may not be individually racist, but we live in a society that is rooted in racist traditions that go longer back than any one of us. Prejudice, on the other hand, is the prejudging of a person based on limited facts, usually based on the things that we can quickly identify about them. For example, the way that someone looks, their skin color, the clothes they wear, the car they drive, or the things that they have. When we claim to live in a colorblind world, we fail to see the patterns of oppression that have been created in our world. Instead, we need to learn how to be color brave. That is, how do we appreciate the differences and diversity God has created in every single one of us? When we refuse to talk about issues of race, or we minimize the struggles of those who have been systematically oppressed, we miss opportunities to learn, discuss, grow, and make positive change in the world in which we live. If we want to see change in the world, we must be willing to understand the parts of ourselves that we need to change first. Then we need to commit to doing the hard work and acting on the change that we want to see. We need to pray and ask God to give us courage, to open our eyes, our hearts, and our minds, and to forgive us for both our negative actions and our inactions. We have the opportunity to create a different vision of peace, love, and justice than the generations before us. It will take courage and boldness. It will take the willingness to become uncomfortable, awkward, and sometimes messy. You may be challenged in your belief systems, traditions, and behaviors, but it is so worth it. The opposite of love is not hate, but fear. Racism and prejudice are products of hate and fear of the unknown. But hate doesn't have to win. Let love win. I hope you join us for our Zoom call at 6:30 tonight. You can find that information below in the description. And know, no matter what, you are loved, you are valuable, and you matter. I'll see you then.